Episode 53. That's right, 53 of the Johnny Canuck podcast. 53. That rings a bell. How you doing, Roy?
Good. How you doing?
Well,
how's Germany?
yeah, it is. We have snow finally. There's some snow here. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you might. I mean, you're being in Canada, probably familiar with snow.
We've had it. You know what? We had a ton of it around Christmas, and then it all melted. And then we just got a dump last night.
Nice.
So look at that. We're the same today.
Yeah, we're the same, exactly the same. So anytime just a little bit of snow falls here, it's like everybody's out sledding. It's like the thing to do. You go sledding.
Oh, okay.
So, Sunday morning, a little bit of snow, this much snow, like I'm talking that much. So not much, like 4 or 5 millimeters. That's like a centimeter.
So if you get to go first, then even you get the best experience. If you go first, everybody else is it's rocks and dirt.
Yeah, there's no skiing here because we're in
sledding,
full quarantine. Okay, yeah, so and it was minus like whatever. It was minus overnight, so it was like -3 this morning. The kids were super hyped. So 9 o'clock we got in the car, and we drove to the nearest hill, and again, I'm telling you, so it's just grass coming out, right? And as we're walking, it's like super icy. And so I'm walking, I'm like, whoa, this is pretty icy. And I don't know if this is a good idea, because like if you fall, like it's just pure ice. Like it was just like it must have rained or something. I don't know, it's just like pure ice with a little tiny bit of snow, and then you got like grass and dirt sticking out, and like really a steep hill. And so my wife and I are contemplating the safety. I'm like, if you go over on the side and hit your head on that ice or elbow, it's broken. Like this is way too dangerous. My oldest daughter's like, see ya, and she's already going down, and she's got like this plastic, just pure plastic frame, like a little light sled thing, and she's going. You can feel the fear up the top of the hill where we are, because she's never gone this fast on a sled. In fact, nobody's ever gone as fast as she did today on a sled, aside from a bobsled. She was shooting down this hill because it was pure ice. Like she must have been hitting McDavid speeds. Wow. And you could just see her like tense up like this, like whoa, and she wouldn't even put her feet out because it was just like her legs would just fly off the back, right? Like in the Grinch or whatever. Yeah. So and we're both just praying to whoever, Allah, God, some other gods, I don't know, the Japanese one,
Adam Gaudette.
Yeah, the hockey god, anybody, for her just to stay straight, not hit a rut and go to the side and then flip, because it'd be like ambulance. And I'm like, as she's flying down, because this was totally my wife's idea, and from the very beginning, I'm like, there's no snow, there's not enough snow, and it seems quite icy. This is probably not a good idea. And she's like, you just stop complaining. That's a family thing. And as she's flying down, I'm like, you have to do the hospital trip, dude.
You're sitting there, you're in your head, you're going, I told you so.
I was calling already that she has to do the hospital trip when my daughter breaks her leg flying off this thing. Anyway, she makes it down the bottom, and it's, I don't know how many. I've switched to metric since living here, so I'm saying like 150 meters, like it's far, like this really far. 150 meters. How many feet that is? Like 400 feet or 350 feet, something like that.
Okay, in Canada we're metric too. Remember?
Yeah, but you don't really follow that. Well, you guys kind of are all over the place. I remember.
I know
how tall are you, Roy?
I know what 150 meters.
How tall are you?
How tall am I? I'm 6'2".
What's that mean? I'm 178 centimeters. So that's what we do here.
Yeah, I know.
How much do you weigh? How much do you weigh again?
In kilograms?
That's right.
Oh,
quick
probably kilograms.
Carry the 2. Pi over r squared. Circumference minus. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So she made it, and then she was just like, all we could see is the back of her. And normally, like the kid turns and they're like, "Yay!" But she was just like frozen. She didn't move. And they were like, "Are you okay?" And then she's like, and then because she's so far down, and she had to walk back up in the ice, right?
She came back up?
Yeah, but that was it. But yeah, because the car is at the top. But anyway, so there was no injuries. There was no second.
Nobody
else. No. That was it. That was the end.
Wow. What a sledding event for the family.
Yikes. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's it. That's the big news, man. Here.
Yeah, I didn't have any sledding stories. I don't do that anymore.
What fun stuff? Or
yeah, I don't like having fun.
I understand. Getting older.
I get up and I just stare at the window like the dogs. I just all day. Car goes by.
Those neighbors.
Yeah, stuff like that. Now, I this weekend actually celebrated my cousin's 50th birthday yesterday. So now, having said that, we celebrated very, very COVID-like, and but we did go out to eat, and it was great. They asked this restaurant. All the tables were like 6 to 8 feet apart, and everybody wore masks going in and going to the bathroom and stuff. We couldn't mingle and stuff like that, but it was pretty cool. It was a nice little Italian place here in Kamloops.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it was fun. It was different because you're kind of obviously you're isolated at your table and you're kind of yelling across the restaurant. So it was different that way. It was very loud.
So you like each person at a table?
Yeah, it's each couple, right? So my wife and I went, and then
got like binoculars.
What
are you guys eating?
Yeah, and then I guess
talkies.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get some bread over?
Yeah, it was really good though. Anyway, that was kind of nice. It was neat to be out. It was just but it's so weird. We're not in lockdown like you guys are. Where like my daughter, she's in Alberta, and she tried to call us, and I said, I'll call you tomorrow. We're at a restaurant celebrating your aunt's birthday. And she's like, oh, it must be nice to be able to go out.
Yeah,
they're in lockdown too, right?
Exactly.
Restaurants aren't open. And so BC, we're doing okay, I guess. So we're allowed to have those things open. So that was fun. It was good. I mean, it was a short night. It was just a couple hours, and then we came home, and I don't know what the night looked like for them later. I don't know if, because this is the problem, because of course people are drinking wine and having some beverages. I always get nervous around that because, inhibitions seem to go away. All of a sudden, masks aren't worn. People are hugging. I
start telling people how you feel about them.
I wasn't wanting to be there for that. So we left. Yeah, my daughter. This is the best part. My daughter picked us up. That's
wow.
That was the best. Actually, you're gonna enjoy that piece when your kids are old enough to drive.
Well, my wife's already taught my oldest, she's 10, how to cook, bake, use the laundry. What do you call it in English?
The laundry. The
laundry machine thing.
Washing
machine. Oh wow.
I know it's a tough one.
Yeah. So 10 years old, and she seems to enjoy it. Like my wife's just somehow used this mental manipulation technique that, she's like, I'm gonna bake something for you, mommy, and cook you breakfast. And my wife's like, okay.
That's good.
Are we supposed to do this stuff? No.
Yeah. Oh, that's
next.
Better.
She'll have her. She'll get her to start doing her lesson planning for school. That'll be
perfect.
The next big step if she can accomplish that.
Not grocery shopping.
Not yet. She's not old enough. A little bit. But
my daughter came home. She spends 2 weeks at her mom's and then 2 weeks here, and she came because she drives. It doesn't really matter. She's just doing that, I think, out of courtesy. Eventually, she's just going to go, I don't want to live with either of you, and might see you once a year. But she's not there yet. Anyway, so she came back and she's like, what I found that I really enjoy? Grocery shopping. And I was like, wow. I go, what? So how'd you find that out? She's, I don't know. It was just one of my jobs I have to do at my mom's place, and I love it. So I was like, well, feel free to continue that here, because I hate it. Hate grocery shopping. Hate getting up to have to go get food.
Really?
So yeah, so she's going to do it now. Obviously, I have to give her my bank card, but that'll be fine.
I love grocery shopping. It's I love it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I'm just not a big fan. I don't like being. You know what it is? I don't mind when I'm there. I don't mind getting food and stuff like that, but it's just the whole I have to go thing. And for us, we live in Dallas, which is
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody that knows Kamloops, Dallas Barnhart Vale is to the east. And so Kamloops is pretty spread out. And so there's a grocery store that we have a grocery store in our neighborhood. It's not amazing though. I think they get secondhand fruit and vegetables, like the vegetables and fruit that nobody wants, and then they go, we'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
We can sell that because it's cheaper for us. That's what it feels like anyway. And their shelves are empty quite often. So we go to the grocery store in town, but to get it, it's not that far in town. It's just the effort. And that's really what it comes down to. On the weekends, I don't want to put in that effort. I'm lazy is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm very lazy. That's basically what I'm saying.
You know who's not lazy? A chess player, because that's an athlete there. I mean, I just throwing this out there because we got a lot of I got a lot of comments about different sports.
Good
feedback. A lot of feedback. I don't think we were way off. I think I mean I did have an actual chess player sort of come at us and sort of
saying they're an athlete.
No, not really, but they basically defended their
athleticism.
The mental, psychological, stress related similarities, and made a direct comparison to hockey. So
hockey,
yeah, ice hockey.
Okay,
the physical sport, the one where you put the blades on your feet.
So chess and hockey mentally are the same thing.
Fighting with sticks. Yeah, there's some similarities.
Like the mental aspect of the game.
Yes, the mental aspect.
Because if it's a physical aspect, that'd be weird.
The similarity when you have all this time to be like, wait, hold.
I don't see that.
Forechecker, give me a second. Hold on.
Forecheck.
Now, should I wait? Oh, come on. Okay, I'll make that pass there. Bing, your turn. Because that's
how it goes.
It's pretty close.
Yeah. I don't agree. I'm not saying that there isn't a mental aspect to chess, but it's a strategy game. And so strategy games like that, there is an intelligence to them, but to me, it's not much. Is it much different than solving, let's say, doing a puzzle?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Or, I don't know. Maybe I could relate chess players to detectives. They're trying to solve and create a pattern and all those things. I don't relate it to a sport necessarily. I'm not saying that you don't have to be smart to play chess or, you know what? You don't have to be smart to play chess. You just have to understand how chess is played and then understand the strategy.
Well, you don't have to be smart to play it well. You mean,
I don't think you have to.
You don't have to be smart just to play it, but to play it well, I think you probably have to be.
What I'm saying is you don't have to be a high achiever in the education system to be able to be good at chess, because it's a totally different thing. So there's so many intelligences out there, and I think one of the intelligences, yes, there is.
I believe I agree with that, but I don't know if I agree with the previous point.
I can prove that though, because
I think you're not good at chess. I think we should play chess right now live.
Well, that's a great point. I'm not good at chess because I haven't taken the time to really care about playing chess.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not stupid. I'm a smart person. But just because I'm not good at chess doesn't make me, and vice versa. Just because I might not be highly intelligent or have a high cognitive ability doesn't mean I can't be a really good chess player. You know, but that's what I'm saying about chess. So come at me, chess players. I don't care. I don't even like the game, to be honest.
Okay.
So there, it's stupid. No,
wow.
I'm only saying that because I don't know how to play. That's what I say when I can't do things. It's stupid.
So what people can't see, the podcast listeners can't see, is that I'm wearing my old school Vancouver Canucks skate spaghetti on the plate.
What should be our logo?
The flying skate, the best logo ever
to
be branded in the history of anything. Right there, it's better than the Hartford Whalers logo. That's the one.
Yeah.
What's going on, Aquilini?
I don't know. We got to rebrand. Like I don't. Anyway, I hate the Orca. Anyway, let's talk about something else because I hate the Orca. So
53.
I'm very negative today, actually. Let's talk about something positive because I'm sure when we get to talking about the Canucks today, it's all going to be positive.
Let's talk about American politics then.
Woo.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. 53.
Bo Horvat.
All right.
Next. Anyway, Bo Horvat. Yeah. I'm not going to go over the stats, but the one thing one thing I did look up, because obviously Bo Horvat's had a really solid Canuck career. But do you know what? The one thing I looked up that I thought was fascinating is, first of all, Bo Horvat in the last 4 years the goal totals have been 20, 22, 27, 22. And points, so like 52, 44, but he only played 64 games that year, 61, 53 last year in 69 games. The guy produces. And I would say quietly, actually, because he's not a big, he doesn't have the fanfare around him. No one really ever talks about Bo Horvat, but it's the face-off percentages. So it's gone up basically almost every year since his rookie year. His rookie year, he was 51%. Now, he had only taken like 800 of them, which actually is quite a bit to me for a rookie, but he was still 51%. And then he gradually has increased that. So last year he was 57.3%, which I think is just crazy good. This year he's 62%. So I don't know. When we come to Bo Horvat, I'm a big fan of Bo Horvat. I think he was the obvious choice to be captain. I think he's going to be with this franchise a long time. You don't trade a guy like this. He's doing everything. Like, everyone looks at the one negative stat about him would be his plus minus. But the problem is he's the only guy that you can count on to win a faceoff. Really, on that team. There isn't, and that's something where, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but that's something where other centermen on this team, maybe not, I mean, Beagle and Sutter, they're getting around their 50, 55. Don't get wrong. Like, that's good too. But they have so many other weaknesses. But I'm talking about the younger guys, like Gaudette and Pettersson. Their faceoffs are atrocious. And so it puts way more pressure on Bo Horvat, because you can't have Beagle and Sutter out there in the defensive zone all the time. It has to be Bo. And that's why JT Miller's loss is so profound, but we'll get into that later. So the best Canuck and will be the best Canuck for a long time. Who knows? He might be the only Canuck to ever wear 53 by the time his career's done. Because how do you follow that? I don't know if the Canucks are going to do any more jersey retirements, and I'm not saying Bo's going to be one of them, but he's going to have a good career with Vancouver. Solid guy. I don't know. He might go down as the career goes on with Pettersson here now. He might be one of the best second-line centers in the league. I would argue that he is definitely one of the best second-line centers in the league, if not the best.
Fair enough. That's an easy one, a no-brainer.
Well, he has zero competition, so that was easy.
He's got zero competition. But even if he did have competition, it'd be no-brainer. I mean, everything he's done so far for the team, the list is just so long. We're going to just exclude the last 3 games because I think you and I want to have a slightly different take on the first 3 games of this season, but we'll go over that. We'll go into that.
Maybe. I think he's been one of the most consistent players in the first 3 games, to be honest. Bo Horvat.
Yeah, we'll get into the first 3 games. But yeah, I mean, I think his playoff performance to me should put any doubters at ease, based on his playoff performance, was just really, really important player for us. So Lex at Lex Avalon, I'm part of the Connor McDavid hate club.
Okay.
So the Canucks started the season playing back-to-backs against the Edmonton Oilers. The first game was a very sloppy game, and the Canucks seemed to be able to finish fairly well. The Oilers were not good defensively. The Canucks were not really great defensively either. The Canucks won that game. They had some clutch goals and some puck luck, and I didn't think they were exceptional. Obviously, Niels Höglander was the big story of that first game, getting his first goal. Was all over the place. Hughes was good.
I thought Besser was the best player on the ice, though.
Besser was good. Jake was not super good in that first game, playing on his wrong wing. I
think that's game 2 more so. He didn't play too much with that group on game 1, did he?
He started there, didn't he?
Well, he didn't last there very long because he's also way down. They struggled. They didn't really know where to put him. Anyway, it filtered into game 2, which carry on. That was amazing too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, game 2 was a tough one. Yeah, that was a tough
hard.
one.
That was a hard game.
Hard for who? Hard for us to watch.
Hard for us to watch, but
I don't know how hard it was for the Canucks because there weren't a lot of guys that were really engaged, except for the guys chasing Connor McDavid around the ice all the time.
Like I said, I think in the first 2 games, and we'll get to the third one in a second, I still think that the most consistent player on that ice was Bo Horvat. He had the most positive out of those 2 games, and those weren't positive games. I'm not saying that. Like Höglander in the first game and Besser, I thought were the 2 most noticeable. Bo Horvat, you didn't notice anything in the first 2 games. He did score and he had an assist in the first 2 games, but he also can say you don't remember him doing anything terribly wrong either. And his job was at the beginning it wasn't, but it ended up being again McDavid. Mm-hmm. I think Travis Green really wants that Pettersson line to go against the top line, and I hope he continues doing that because I think anyway, we'll get into that.
They had a tough time. They had a real tough time.
They struggled. They
had a real tough time. That first shift, the first few minutes of the first game was a bit scary. So, or the second game, sorry.
And I mean, set the tone, didn't it?
I set the tone, and you have people coming out afterwards. I don't know if a lot of the people making comments about what they're seeing are actually watching the games because there was a lot of kind of talk right away about Demko, not great tonight, didn't play well.
I thought he played great.
He was if it wasn't for Thatcher Demko, and I went back and rewatched all the chances the Oilers had at the beginning. If it was not for Thatcher Demko, the game was out of hand in the first 10 minutes. The Oilers had 35 shots halfway through the second.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought both. Actually, I've really liked the goalie play, to be honest.
Yep. I hope he was good against Calgary last night as well. So
it's just the problem is going back to this tweet by Lexicon or whatever her name is, the McDavid thing. I don't hate McDavid. I can't hate talent. if you're a hockey fan, I'm a Canuck fan. I don't love the Oilers, but if you're going to single out one player, I always put it this way: do you hate them because they're on the Oilers? Fine, I'm all for that. I don't like the players on the opposition either. And I'm going to get into this because there's some people on the Calgary Flames I don't like anymore. and I'm sick and tired of hearing about them as if they're still on our team. But as far as the Edmonton Oilers go, no, I don't like Edmonton. I want Edmonton to lose every time. I was really happy when Montreal beat them last night. But when you talk to me about a specific player like a McDavid, would I like him on our team? Of course I would. Yeah. Are you kidding me? He is a generational talent. He is the best player on earth. And when he plays at the ability he did against us, now, given we gave him a lot of chances to be amazing, it's fun to watch. You can't help it. You just have to be in awe of such great talent. You don't see it every time, so enjoy it.
I mean, there's not a lot to hate about Edmonton's game, to be honest, and the way they play. There's not,
it's fun.
I mean, there's Cassian. Cassian is a guy who might rub you the wrong way. The only things that and I don't like using hate a lot because it's a word I don't really like to use, but we're talking about sports here. So
yeah, Brad Marchand, that's about it.
I hate the way the Canucks defended against McDavid.
Yeah.
I thought it was just unbelievable the space he had. He, was like at a candy shop with an American Express card with no limit. I just made that up. I don't know.
I could tell.
Yeah. So can everybody else. But I was not a fan of that.
Right.
I thought it was unbelievably how bad the team defense was in that second game. I also hate the having to listen to the Edmonton commentators. I mean, you and I talked about this off air. I know these are national games, and you're just gonna get
the locals,
the feed from the locals, but man, the homerism, and I'm sure we get it too, right? I'm sure we have our own kind of we have our own bias with Batch and Cheech.
Well, that's why we enjoy them.
But I'm telling you,
they're gonna focus on our guys. That's why. That's why it's hard for a visitor listening, because they're gonna focus on their people because that's who they see all the time, and I get it.
Yeah, but it's also how they see the game, right? Like
they're not supposed to. I don't think if you're the local person
in the last three games, the best person to actually call the game as it is Take a guess.
Yeah.
In the last 3 games, you've only got a choice of like what five people, right? Because in the first 2 Oilers games, there was I think the color guy was different. Who do you think was the best?
Well, the Calgary Flames guy I thought was pretty good.
Okay, who's the color?
The color cat. I like Cassie Campbell.
Cassie Campbell.
I liked her.
Cassie Campbell. She will say, he went down there. Like she would actually say, if a Flame did a dive, she would say, he went down a bit easy, but you can't have your stick in between the hands. Like she calls it not.
I liked her. I quite like her. And you know what? She got roasted on Twitter for being a homer. She got roasted. And those are the people that you just shake your head at and go, that's exactly what you said earlier, though. Do you watch the game? Do you listen to the game? Because Cassie Campbell, I thought was great. I thought is it Chris Cuthbert or who does the Calgary? I thought he was okay, but I really liked her. Her analysis as a color person is one of the better ones in our league. Actually, she should be given a lot of kudos for her job on that. I agree.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to go into the local media. You and I were talking about a little bit about it. Some of the things, I mean, you can tell the local media that works for the Canucks. Like you can tell.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough. Like you work for more or less, you have an agreement with the organization. You're going to be positive. You're going to only sort of spin things a certain way. And that's fine. But there's also kind of a lot of media and, not that we know everything, but we've both played, like we both played hockey. And so, I mean, for me, one of the comments that I'm not going to name who or what station or where, but there was a lot made about how dumb the move for Quinn Hughes was to take the Canucks off the power play when he thought that Brock Besser got elbowed in the head. And, my first response, having experience as a coach and as a player, my first response is, oh yeah, too bad they're going off the power play at this point. But that's that's what this team needs to do. They need to stand up for each other. It's also too bad that it's Quinn Hughes having to do it. And so I don't mind that play. I don't mind that play at all. That also sends a message to the rest of the team that, look, Quinn Hughes, 5'10", best player on the team or second best player on the team, is the one going into the dirty places to take care of business.
Arguably the smallest player on the team.
Yeah.
Easily,
and then you look at the Calgary game and the Canucks, the amount of hits, I think they had 10 hits at the end of the second. There was no pushback. There was no. The engagement level was so low. I mean, this team desperately needs a guy like Ryan Reeves right now. I'm telling you, they don't just need JT Miller, but they need not just, but they need to really find a level of grit that's just not there. I mean, you're playing against, you've got Kachuk, you've got, Giordano, you've got Cassian. I mean, like these are the 3 friendliest games I've ever seen that are supposed to be like playoff. Lucic. Yeah. I mean, is that the issue? Is that Cassian and Lucic are just outmatched the Canucks so much that they didn't want to get into it at all? Like the Oilers, I just think the Canucks.
Yeah.
And the Flames, the physicality was, like the Canucks just let players hang out by the net. I think the only time I saw somebody clear the net was Pearson after I think it was Yamamoto just stopped at the net and just was hanging out. And at that point, that was in the second game, and Pearson just came in and was like, "Get out of here!" and just like plowed him out.
But it's Yamamoto. He weighs what? He's 5'7". So that's the guy we do. Like, you know what I mean?
He was just hanging out in front of the net. That's the point.
No, I get that, but I mean, let's say it was Cassian hanging out in front of the net. Does he do that? Probably not. That's my point. My point is,
you go and you guide him out. You guide him out.
Right? Guide him out, but you
don't let him hang out there.
You're not going to clear him like you did Yamamoto, though. You're not even going to try. That's my point. Is the Canucks don't have people that play that.
That was the most physical play, and that was after a whistle. That was the most physical play in 3 games. I mean, this is a team that's supposed to be in playoff mode. It's a team that's supposed to be
They
What do
don't
you
have
mean,
those
no?
tools. No, they don't have those guys. That's not how they play. Even in the playoffs, they didn't really play like that, to be honest. Other than Roussel running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to hit everybody in sight and then getting 10-minute minor. He already got a 10-minute misconduct this year. Like, it didn't take very long. It took game 2. Like, it's just.
I think the Canucks are going to have to. They're going to have to evolve their game then a bit, because this Northern Division, this Canadian Conference, whatever we want to call it, is going to. I think the teams that dig in and find a way to use intimidation, to use that motivation of, game 2, let's go kind of thing. One of the things that's most surprising to me so far about the performance of the Canucks is that they're the team that's just come off this playoff run. They're the team that has the recency bias, that should be able to access how to respond after a first game, how to play these series. And the second game against the Oilers was shocking to me. The way they just didn't engage. Like,
I don't know. I don't know if that's a big thing. The recency bias. Like, let's not forget, like, Vancouver made the playoffs. I get that, and they went farther than most people thought. But Toronto and Edmonton didn't play well, but they were both involved in it. Same with Calgary, actually. They're both involved in that play-in round piece. So they all kind of have a bit of it. But I would argue that just because you went through the playoff, it's a different season, different players, different coaches are going to change. That's where I look at it. Have the Canucks changed, though? Have we changed philosophy? Have we tried to? We didn't really change personnel much. We brought in Schmidt, we brought in Holtby, but what else? And Hoglander is new; he's a rookie. But we didn't change personnel like some of these other teams did, and try to change. They looked at the way they were playing and went, you know what, we got to play a little bit different game. And Vancouver didn't do that. And that was part of the piece of us talking about the preseason is where does Vancouver really fit amongst everybody? And in the first 3 games, it's only 3 games. It doesn't mean that they're not going to turn this around. But in the first 3 games, just look at where their weaknesses are. Defense, that gap control again. They're really struggling. They're really struggling with the gap control in the defense. Too easy to enter their zone. It's too easy to move around in their zone. And then they fall into that box, exactly what they've always done. When you're giving up the shots on goal that the Canucks are giving up, and if you're not going to block them, then yeah, our goalie's going to be under siege, and you're going to be in your zone for 40 to seconds to a minute. And that's not okay. That's not how you play defense. But they don't have the guys. They just don't. And they're not willing to move on because for the better of the room, which I'm sick and tired of hearing about how good these guys are in the room. Brian Burke actually had a really good a thing on one of the intermissions. He was talking about when he brought Brad May to the Anaheim Ducks before their cup run. And he just talked about the importance of, they were talking about Joe Thornton to start. And then it evolved, and they asked Brian Burke, like, you did that, you're a GM. And he said, yeah, like those guys are integral parts and really important pieces in a room when you have young players. However, he'll never forget Brad May. He goes, yeah, I brought you in to be, I think you're going to be good for the room. And Brad May's like, do you want me to bring my hockey equipment too? Because I can play. And I think that's the piece right there, is if you're good in the room, that's great, but you got to be able to play. And what they were saying is Joe Thornton, guys like that, and on our team, this is where our team, the Beagles and the Sutters, don't work. Joe Thornton can still play the game. Joe Thornton can still be a positive member statistically on a team. But what do Beagle and Sutter do? If you're just a good voice in the room, but you can't show it up on the ice, then to me, the young guys are looking at you going, well, actually, you're kind of a waste out here. I'd rather have a guy that can skate or do something different. Having said that, they're actually one of the better players to start the year. So
not Beagle.
Maybe not Beagle, but I mean, Sutter and Mott have been okay. Well, I mean, Mott's not really a Grizzly veteran, but Alex Edler.
Mott's taken 4 minors in 2 games.
Oh,
3 games.
And three of the minors have turned into goals.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough to watch. Their power play is 64%.
Alexis,
obviously,
the
PK 64%. Power play is 0. Go ahead.
Alexis at Canucks Memazar. So can we address the elephant in the room? Our PK is garbage. 4 goals against on the PK in the last 2 games. She forgot to mention how bad the power play has been. This is not a good sign. And the power play looks like they don't want to commit to just, getting the puck down low or getting the puck on net. They're happy passing it around. Looks very pretty what they're doing. And with all the talk about, like you just mentioned, this bottom six, with leadership and PK, and it's so important to have these guys. You couldn't possibly have a guy like Gaudette and Jake Virtanen killing penalties, could you? They could not be worse than the PK is right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. Yeah,
you got to love a guy like Beagle, the guy, and I know the team does, and I think they will not. They're not going to park him ever. I don't see that happening. But he's having a real tough time. His foot speed is so far behind.
Well, the thing is, this is a big piece that we have to remember too. Is one of the most important parts of a penalty kill is winning the faceoff. So that Sutter and Beagle are actually needed, because Adam Gaudette is terrible at faceoffs. He's getting better. Pettersson is atrocious. And so who's your other guy? It's Bo Horvat. Well, none of those guys play on the power play right now. So you have to put out Beagle and Sutter, because at least they can win a faceoff 50 to 60% of the time, which is important for your PK. The problem is if they get trapped. What people forget is McDavid's faceoffs are running anywhere between 55 and 65% now. Why? Because the guy worked on them. And so these are things that the Canucks don't have Malhotra right now. I don't know who, other than Bo Horvat. And JT Miller, remember, when he comes back, he can take faceoffs, and he's pretty good at it too. One of the best in the league. And that's why they're missing him so much, is he can take those important faceoffs, but he doesn't penalty kill either. I just put a Gaudette out there with a Sutter, or with a you have Mott out there. Mott's good. Or with a Beagle. I would try Gaudette before Virtanen. I just don't trust Virtanen's drive, to be honest, or will to block a shot. I think he's a little bit scared out there. I don't know if Virtanen really. I don't have a lot of faith in his hockey right now, anyway. But not that he's playing terrible. It's Jake Virtanen just hasn't shown anything to me for a very long time, not just this year. But I'm fine just third line him or whatever. I don't know where he fits on the team, but not penalty king yet. But Gaudette, I would try. Put Mott's out there. He's good. Gaudette, try. Pearson, I think, is too slow as well. I don't think he has the speed. That's just my take, but it can't be worse. You're right. The PK is terrible. The power play, I disagree a tiny bit. What I think is happening on the power, I think they're moving the puck around really well, actually. Yes. I do agree with you. They should try the down low play a little bit more. I think Besser and Pettersson hold it on the wing, trying that cross ice pass, trying to open the lanes. The problem is and where it's stagnant is Pettersson and Besser stay in their spot to shoot.
Yeah, they got to move.
If you ever watch Ovechkin floats down to the bottom, floats back to the top.
And that's what Miller will bring, is that moving, you got to move. You can't just set up around the perimeter and just pass it around. You've got to move.
Yeah, Hughes moves a lot back and forth on the point.
Move around, yeah.
I like Hughes moving, and he tries to move the puck a little bit. Pettersson and Besser they have to be more mobile and not just switch sides. That's not mobility to me, just switching sides when they come on down. So I think they could be, obviously they can be a little better. I think when Miller comes, Hoglander, I don't think it's looked terrible there, actually. He drives the net. He makes good plays. His ability to battle on the boards is so fun to watch, because it's hard to take the puck off him, and he gets it right back. He's a feisty little guy down there. So that's good for a power play, because he can dig those things out. And the thing is, I will say though, is they have had chances on the power play. In fact, I think I was looking at, as a team, their relative Corsi, or the Corsi 4, is 62% on the power play, which is what it should be. It should be high, but they're getting the chances, quality chances, like 62. So they're getting chances. The puck's not going in a little bit, but I think Pettersson's trying to make that cross ice pass perfect, and he's getting intercepted or knocked down or deflected. That's not the pass you need. It's the bottom to the top, like how Calgary scored the first goal. Those are the types of power play passes we want to get, or the deflection in front of the net. Mm-hmm. Pettersson and Besser have both missed, just missed, or hit crossbars. I'm not as against the power play as much as I'm against the penalty kill, just because when Miller comes back, it's going to add a different dynamic. I don't say you blow it up. I wouldn't switch guys in and out like what Twitter's demanding. I know they're 0 for 11. To start the year last year, they were 0 for 10. That's how they started last year. This year, 0 for 11. They ended up being a top 5 power play last year. I still think they can get back there. But the movement has to be better. And I think JT Miller is going to bring that because he has that leadership on that. He's going to tell guys what to do. They're missing that. Bo Horvat's trying, but Bo Horvat's not that. That's where Miller's better than Horvat when it comes to that leadership piece. The penalty kill is atrocious. I hate watching it. Every time we take a penalty, I just assume it's going in. And that sucks.
Yeah. We might see Louis Eriksson coming in just for one of those spots playing on the penalty kill.
Possibly.
It's a serious problem. It's almost a gimme if they take a penalty at this point. So
feels like it, yeah.
I want to switch to, you mentioned Jake. Jake's also, I mean, he's obviously the whipping boy right now for anything that possibly goes wrong. Viet Verabens, why is everyone crapping on Jake Virtanen when the team's star players also haven't shown up? You know, aside from Besser and Hughes in the first game, I don't think we've seen Petey kind of play this poorly. The first line was not good, and you know, Jake got a lot of heat. He got a lot of heat in the second game, where you and I were still thinking that him playing on the wrong side, and he wasn't that bad. And to be honest with you, I thought he was one of the better Canuck skaters against Calgary. And one thing that, you know, Greener was asked right away, somebody, I can't remember who, but one of the media guys kind of tried to, you know, right away throw Jake out to the Wolves in a way to defend Petey, right? Now, you know, Petey's not going to get a lot of fire thrown his way for sure. But Jake gets, you know, no matter what happens, Jake's getting it. Well, and he probably will always will until we decide he's a third line player and leave it, or he's moved. But in my mind, he was one of the better players. And Green actually said, well, actually, Jake was skating tonight, and he was actually double shifting him on different lines. He wasn't moving him around because he wasn't playing. He was actually using him because he was one of the few guys that was playing. So, I mean,
having said that,
Jake's a tough
name the bottom 2 in Corsi for our team right now.
Well, I looked after the first 2 games, and by far Beagle and Russell were at the very bottom. Mcewen was pretty close to the bottom.
Pettersson is last.
I see you're shaking your head. Wow. Okay.
Pettersson is last, 42. Jake Virtanen is second last, 44. So it's interesting those 2 guys came up in this conversation.
Yeah.
They are after 3 games, those 2 are the worst. Pettersson has not played well. That's fine.
It's not fine. It's not fine. It's not fine.
That's
alarming. The thing is, never gone 3 games without.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 3. Like, I'm not worried because he has a great talent. What I'm worried more about is he has to find a way to make the guys on his line better. And this is what we talk, like you and I off the air, we talked about how people focus on McDavid versus Pettersson, which I think is a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Or McKinnon versus Pettersson, which I think is a ridiculous thing, because the difference between McDavid and McKinnon is they make the guys on their line better.
Pettersson, they just dominate the play.
Yeah. But Pettersson,
Draisaitl too.
But we haven't seen that from Pettersson. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he's not dominant when he plays with Besser and Miller, or with Virtanen and Miller.
Yeah.
But there's a commonality there, Miller. And so if you can't play better until you have a guy like Miller on your line, you got to change your game somehow. You got to drive play better. And so, because what I'm worried about and what I'm seeing, this is, and I don't want to, when I went back but my preseason ranking, I had Vancouver 6th. I didn't want them there. And I said, actually, in the second time, I said, I could see them moving up based on some moves around 4th or 5th is 4th, I think I put them. But watching now, we don't have a first line that's really producing. We have a second line that's going to be stuck playing against the best players on every other team.
With Louis Eriksson on it.
It could be. It could happen. But I still think right now Hoglander's holding his own. So, but you can't expect a rookie to come in and do that for the whole year. I mean, that's not fair to a rookie. But that first line has to produce. And if that first line's not producing until JT Miller comes, then we've loaded everything up. At this point, before JT Miller comes, why are we not putting Bo Horvat up there and moving Pettersson to the wing? He can't win faceoffs anyway. And then Horvat can play the wing after he takes the faceoff. You know what I mean? Like, right now they got to try anything. Of course, then your second line centering Bo Horvat would be atrocious. Like, who do you put there? You can't do it. They don't have the depth. One thing that we said at the beginning of the year, Vancouver's depth is weak. That was what separated them from everybody else. They didn't have depth like some of these other teams did. They didn't acquire depth. Why? Because they're paying $12 million to a bunch of guys who can't skate and nobody wants. So that's our problem.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And depth is it's such a big thing. Like, and it's so, imagine the pressure they're putting on these two guys, you know, Pettersson and Besser, and even Quinn Hughes, the amount of pressure being put on these guys, not just to ease into the league and be supported, but for them to be the reason or not reason for us to have success. One thing, you know, that was really difficult for us in the playoffs was just no contributions from the bottom six. Mike K at Mike Commode Bieksa on Hockey Night Canada says leadership doesn't mean much if they don't contribute. Half of the Canucks Twitter left trying to understand what Beagle, etc. are here for now. So this is, you know, we're calling out the bottom six for, you know, they need to contribute. And if that means PK, then that's what it needs to be. And, you know, you and I, we've talked about loyalty. We've talked about deployment. The Canucks are going to have, I think part of what's going to have to happen is a guy like Justin Bailey and a guy like Mark Michaelis and a guy like Sven Berchi may just be better than what we're throwing out in the bottom six. And those guys need to get a shot to at least see if they can make an improvement to what we have in the bottom six. And to me, there's a bit of an alarm going off there. When anytime I see that fourth line getting pinned or chasing, or, you know, the Canucks taking a penalty and it's one of those penalty killers, man, and the other team, it's like an automatic. And then you've got the pressure that's being put on that top line to not only match against the best lines, but to have to produce. And then our second line has got a 19-year-old player, you know? So you're right about the depth.
I want to say something about
leadership, though. We have the leadership.
Yeah. Well, I will say this about, first of all, the leadership piece. So it just goes back to that comment I said about Brian Burke is you can be great in the room, but if you're not producing, it's fine. Having said that, Tyler Mott's Corsi through 3 games is 62%.
He can't score though. So
I know
he belongs in the bottom six.
I'm not saying he belongs up. I'm just saying that bottom line of Mott, Beagle, and Sutter, Mott is 62, Beagle 61, Sutter 54. Doesn't excuse their penalty killing. Their penalty killing is just terrible. But I'm just saying it's interesting that we're talking about these guys, but they've actually they've stayed together as a line more than any other line, and they've actually been probably the best, most consistent line, which is really telling of where that's why Vancouver is 1-2, and it was a sloppy game 1, because when your top line is our fourth line,
well, they're third line now,
or whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah,
I would still say if someone said, "What do you think the worst line in this division is?" I would pick this line. I would pick Mott, Beagle, Sutter as the worst line in the division. But right now, statistics, get it? It's analytics, it's statistics. It's not the eye candy piece, but statistics based. It's actually the best, which is not. It's not good for Vancouver. Vancouver needs them to be the worst, like they are, and I'm saying that in a positive way. Like we need our other lines to be better. Even the Bo Horvat line is still solid. Hoaglander's at 52. Horvat's at 56. Actually, the majority of Vancouver is over 50, which is really encouraging. The problem is Besser, Vertan, and Pettersson is the one line that's below 50. They're not driving play. And that a lot of it has to do with that McDavid matchup. It wasn't a good matchup. And they got most of the stats, I think, were when he was matched up against them. And Edmonton made sure that happened quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, one player out of the lineup has basically shifted everybody up a lot. They don't have somebody to plug in. No. You know, you and I were trying to figure out, I guess it was yesterday, trying to figure out who could be moved up into that spot. And
we struggled.
Yeah.
we threw a ton of names out.
Hail Marys. Like we were just, we're like, you know, guys, I got to be honest. I suggested Sutter. I mean, Sutter was one of them. That's where we're at, man. Sam at Samantha CP. I think we need a little more depth. Yeah. I mean,
Well, you know what the thing is what I would argue is we don't feel like we have depth because we don't try anybody else. So our
loyalty to the bottom six.
Our depth right now is Louis Eriksson. That's our depth, because we're not going to bring in Bailey, because we're not going to bring in Michaelis, because we're not going to bring in these other guys. So that's our depth. Our depth is the one guy we're willing to bring in. Obviously, Miller's not there right now. But who goes out of the lineup when Miller comes? Probably Mcewen, who's only playing 7 minutes a game.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that to me, he's somebody that I would like in the lineup a little bit more than those other guys. But when you're only playing 7 minutes a game, what do you expect the guy to do? In 7 minutes, the guy has a relative Corsi of 13.4, which means when he's on the ice, 13 more shots on net or chances than the opposition in 7 minutes a game. That's what he's averaging. And Adam Gaudette's only averaging 8 minutes. And his Corsi is the top. It's the top two are Gaudette and Mcewen. So when they're out there, they're doing. Now we could argue and say, okay, but if we put them out there for an extra 8 minutes, it might go down. Possibly. Of course it's going to go down. Actually, they're not going to maintain 66%. But can we give them a shot? Because obviously they're doing something right and driving play. But that's, I just don't understand.
They look good. They had energy. They were skating.
Speed?
Yet deployment is such that fourth line, that Beagle-Sutter line, they were getting double shifted. They started the game. They had 2 shifts before Petey did. Petey's line did against Calgary, and I think that was a message from game 2. Didn't seem to do anything except for Jake, who was flying. Johnny Canuck down under at Nuck down under. I think we need a little more oomph. And again, that takes me to where you mentioned Brian Burke and Truculence. You mentioned Brad May. I mentioned Ryan Reeves. They just don't have that guy. Well, they don't have to drop the gloves all the time, but they're going to have to start to engage. They're going to have to start to throw hits. Like they're going to have to. Who? Everybody.
Who?
Team
I know.
Toughness.
Well, name one guy that's going to be that guy that's going to throw hits. Mcewen. That's the one guy I think of. I'm not saying none of them can throw hits, but it's just not the game. That's not how they're built. Roussel's not a big hitter. And if you get hit by Roussel, you're not feeling it. But Mcewen, you'll feel it. But who's that guy on the team? See, this is the thing. This is where they're kind of handcuffed with those salaries. Is that I would love to ship out a Sutter and a Beagle and bring in a more grit, younger person that could do that fourth line role, but we can't do it. Nobody wants those guys. Sutter, Beagle, and we can't get rid of those contracts. We can send them down to the minors, I guess, but our cap situation is just atrocious.
Yeah, you gotta imagine the perplexity that Nate Schmidt finds himself in, going from probably one of the most intimidating, I don't know how to say it in a positive way, confident / arrogant, gritty, mean team in the league to probably one of the more, other than Detroit, one of the more passive, passive teams, all the way, JT Miller brings that, and it looks like they depend on that way too much.
Should we give JT Miller the Hart Trophy because of his absence in the lineup? It's like obvious. Actually, Ian McIntyre, I can't take credit for that. Ian McIntyre tweeted that out this morning. Give JT Miller the Hart Trophy because obviously no team is missing a player more than the Canucks are missing him. Yeah, he's a good player, but that's to my point. Is these guys have to. There's going to be other injuries, and we can't sit here and hope it's only the bottom 4 that are getting hurt, so it doesn't affect our lineup. And there's going to be other COVID cases. Winnipeg Jets shut down their practice facility yesterday. Yeah. They were able to open it up today. These things are going to happen. So from time to time, you're going to lose a guy, and you're telling me that we lose one guy, one player.
It's
and we can't figure it out.
That's where
that's a problem.
That's why it kind of makes me a little bit scared that the Canucks are playing so loose defensively. They don't have that initiative. They don't have that kind of, that playoff type of like, let's go get it. Like the Oilers, man, came at them so hard in that second game. To be honest, like both the Flames and the Oilers looked like they were playing like a semi-playoff hockey, and the Canucks were playing an exhibition game. Let's not forget, though, before you go on, the Oilers are 1-2. They looked terrible against Vancouver the first game, and they looked atrocious last night against Montreal. So let's not pretend Edmonton's doing it right either. They had one good game.
They had one good game against Vancouver. They've looked terrible the other two.
McDavid was just incredible.
Against Vancouver, the one game he was, but
Yeah.
you watched the Montreal game last night, and I did watch the Montreal game. I'm telling you, remember when you said there's no way Montreal makes it where blah, 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 blah. And I said, I have a feeling about Montreal.
I don't know if I said that.
You said something.
Okay.
That you didn't believe that
all the hype. I think it was
all the hype.
Yeah.
Anyway, and don't get me wrong, Montreal could still plummet to the bottom. But right now, I'm looking at how they play the game. They have 4 lines they can roll. They have exactly what we were talking about, that grit, that heaviness. They're going to hit. They're going to forecheck. They're resilient. They may not have the high, flashy players like a McDavid or a Pettersson, but they got guys that can put the puck in the net, at least shoot the puck on the net. Jesus, like we can't even do that. We're having a hard time just putting the puck on the net unless it's from the blue line. Was that Was that the easiest 32 save shutout that Markstrom's ever had in his life? Yes. He didn't have to make any hard saves. I think one last save against Höglander was a really good one, but very few tough ones.
I mean, I don't want to say he looked embarrassed, but that was the kind of a feeling I got, was like, yeah, I mean, the team was hyped. Like, they were hyped, man, for him and Tanny and for Levo.
Oh, of course.
It's great for them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They don't play for the Canucks anymore. It's done.
Can we talk about that for a bit after?
Canucks have to play Calgary like 8 more times. You know what? They better get some goals on Markstrom, I'm telling you.
Did you see the schedule? There's actually a stretch where we play them 4 games in a row.
Yeah, and I'm hoping the Canucks start to get a little bit of edge to their game. Or teams are going to just have a real easy way with them. I'm telling you, if they continue to play this way, this division I think is going to be so tough. Every game is 4 points. Every little bit counts. Guys like, I think like guys like Cassian and Lucic are going to be very valuable in this division. I really do. I think it's going to make a big difference. So here we go. Arpan Pahar, tank for Owen Power. I know it's only 3 games in, and I'll just throw this one at you. So this is the stats. Well, no, this is the standings. As of 3 games, Canucks find themselves in 7th place of the division. So with a -4 differential.
Yeah.
But then Andrew Walker is just hoping that we just chill a bit. This just in: Canucks aren't 1-13. Just relax.
Exactly.
Again,
things can look up. Things can look up.
A lot of people are saying this. Everybody calm down. Don't worry. I don't worry about a 2-game losing streak. I worry about the type of things I see in the play. That's what I worry about. And it couldn't be after 5 losses. It could even be after 2 wins, right? Like, I worry about the PK. That's a big issue. You mentioned it. That's a big issue. I'm really quite worried about Petey. I've never seen him play like this. I don't think any of us have. I'm worried about the Canucks kind of response.
That's another piece. The power play, though, is like Calgary was 3 for 6. Edmonton. Although I think some of the Edmonton goals were right at the end of a power play, so it didn't count as a power play goal. But let's be honest, it was a power play goal, basically. I think on one of them, they should have been 2 for something. I think they ended up being 1. But how they moved on the power play, I mean, geez, Demko was just all over the place making save after save. But I know they scored one of their goals just right after the power play. So it's just Edmonton's power play makes it look like Vancouver has never penalty killed in their life. Just the way Edmonton has the best power play. And that's the other thing we have to remember. They had one of the top power plays last year, if not the top. It might have been the top. And we're going to be playing these guys 8 more times.
Yep.
The best power play 8 more times. So you can't take penalties. And if we do, we got to put better people out there, or different people, or a better system, or something. Tyler Myers, actually, I will say, I'll give a shout out to Tyler Myers.
Great.
I think he's doing really well on the power play. That's where Tyler. If you're 6'8", you better be on the penalty kill. You better be.
Tyler Myers has looked good. He's looked good.
I haven't hated him out on the PK. I'd like some other guys just to give it a shot. Like, why not a Zach Mcewen? What's your role for Zach Mcewen if he's not going to be a PK guy? He's just going to come and play 7 minutes every game?
Again, the danger of taking guys like Sutter and Beagle off the PK kind of makes them in the lineup
Zach McEwen.
Sort of pointless.
Right,
like you might as well have Michaelis and Berchi in the lineup, like guys that bring you something.
These are the average even strength. I guess that's just even strength, but the average, like the ice times are ridiculous. I think Gadet's at like 10 minutes a game, maybe 9. McEwen is around 8. Roussel is around 10. Well, if you're only playing 10 minutes, like that's not even half of a period.
How much is Beagle and Sutter playing?
You're playing, Beagle here is at 9 minutes, but that's time on ice. That's just even strength time on ice. It doesn't include all of it. I'll just figure it out here. But yeah, time on ice. Here we go. So Beagle, the bottom 3, McEwen 7:11 average time on ice. 7 minutes. Cadet 8:50. Beagle 13. Sutter 14. A lot of that's penalty killing. Right? Yeah. Virtanen only 12. Roussel's 11. But this is the shocking one. Oli Ulevi 10. Can we give him I guess they're babying him in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But Quinn Hughes though is the top at 24. I like that. That's what we were talking. Him and Schmidt are the top 2. Edler's down to 20. That's what we were talking about.
I like that in the first game.
Yeah. I like that. But anyway, yeah. So I just don't understand a guy playing 7 minutes a game. Like they're not really even playing.
No. So we've got
and they're young guys.
Yeah.
They play them.
we got 2 minutes left.
Right.
We gotta save some of that for me to talk about the Bruins so far, how they are going.
No, we're not talking about the Bruins. Can I talk about one? No, we're not talking about Boston. I don't care about Boston. They lost to New Jersey. I was really happy yesterday. But the one thing I will say, Vancouver Canucks Twitter, you have to stop pretending that Jacob Markstrom and Chris Tanev are on our team. I am so sick of the love for these two. They are now on the Calgary Flames. They are the enemy.
Yeah, they left the team. Yeah.
They're nice guys. I'm sure they're great. Same with Josh Levo. They were great here. But I'm so sick and tired. I've never seen it. I've never seen 2 players leave a team and we sit there and worship them like they're amazing people. I'm sure they are. But I mean, as far as hockey players, take the posters off the walls, take all their memorabilia. If you had a shirt, take the name off, put a new name on or whatever, put it away. We don't associate ourselves with them. When Pavel Bure went to Florida, that was it. Pavel Bure is not on our team. I was a big Jovo fan all of a sudden. Why? That's who we got for him. So I'm sick and tired of Canucks Twitter focusing on guys that aren't on our team. If you want to look at, if we're going to talk about players to watch McDavid then. He's not on our team either.
Patrice Bergeron. We're in the C now.
Hey,
it's got the C. Let's go.
I like Patrice Bergeron. I will give you that, Boston Bruin fan extraordinaire. Anyway,
that's my commentators rant. In the NHL right there. Boston.
No, they're the worst. You want to talk about bias? Wow. No, but one thing I will say though is seriously, is that fair? Like, can we move on from guys that we did not sign and who no longer play with us and they just beat us? So I'm sorry, Chris Tanev, and I'm sorry, Jacob Markstrom. Great guys when they're here. I hate you. I hate you.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to talk about him anymore. I want to light up Markstrom. 6 goals Monday night. That's what I want.
There's a sadness to it. I'm not defending anything. I'm just saying the fact that the cap has been so mismanaged in Vancouver, a lot of things have had to happen as a way to repair, or at least just to keep the team afloat. And that those two have been, and Toffoli as well, have been, honestly, like they're gone. These guys are gone because the team has invested in Beagle, Roussel, Sutter. Like that's Louis Eriksson not being able to move out from these massive contracts from, the leadership that they bring. Yeah. But that to me, that's the sad part. Is that you don't have a guy who's, Jacob Markstrom, he people are already saying, "Oh, that contract's so bad." It's not. That's already what they're looking at. But you know what?
Not short term.
The guy could win the Vezina this year. Jacob Markstrom could win the Vezina this year.
But we talked about that.
And the Canucks could not make the playoffs, and the Flames could go to the Cup Finals, and Markstrom could be like the reason why. And
who did I pick to win the division?
Is because the the reasons we don't have Jacob Markstrom is not just because of Thatcher Demko. It's because of those terrible contracts.
It's cap.
Yeah, the horrible contracts that we have that we couldn't get out of, that we were supposed to have gotten out of. And honestly, like I don't see where this year is going. If they're this fragile without JT Miller, I'm a little worried. And maybe
3 games.
I know.
3 games.
I know. Again, like I said, it's not the 3 games. It's the things I'm seeing and how the team is playing.
You know what though? But we talked about this. After 10 games, it will really be telling. Like that tells a bit, because it's 1/5 of the.
I don't think we said that online. So what we talked about offline was normally in your 84 game season, 82 game season,
82.
About the 25 game mark. About 20. I guess 20 is usually the magic number. About a fourth of the way through, that's sort of where you kind of know what you got and where you're going to go. So if we think of that being about 12,
10, 15, 12, around there,
12, right? 13 games. If we're one and like, that's why, that's probably why Walks put in one. We're not 1-13, because if we're 1-13, we're not gonna be 1-13. But if we're sitting down at seventh place after 10, 15 games, it's time to start playing the young guys, man. Get Jack Rathbone in there.
But just let me say something. If we play the way that we're playing, we play Calgary on Monday. That's going to be a struggle. We play Montreal 3 games in a row. Now, right now, Montreal is playing well. And Carey Price has always owned the Canucks. So I'm a little worried about that. I mean, is it far-fetched if we continue playing this way? Is it far-fetched to say that we could lose the next 4? No. And then after that, we got the Ottawa Senators, who right now are driving people nuts because they have nothing to lose. They've been picked last across the board, maybe even one of the worst teams in the league, they're saying. And they have nothing to lose. And so they come, and then they're going to come here for a couple games. By the end of next weekend, but next time, our next pod, I'm not going to say it's going to be like this, but if we don't change it, turn things around and start improving our play, we might be 1-7 or 6.
I'll tell you what, now
that's scary. That's scary
right now. If we are, and book this, if we're 1-7, the next time we have a pod, we're going to dedicate 50% of this podcast to the Boston Bruins. Let's go, baby.
Boston. Terrible team.
No.
Yeah, they're terrible.
No,
and they can have half of everything I have. I have nothing.
They're not. So normally I stop the recording right now, but I want to get the last word in. So Boston, baby.
Sucks.